were sort of from the wrong side of the tracks, these blue-collar guys, and they were into a lot of different stuff, you know, little petty robberies and things like that to sort of, you know, get by. And but they were really in love with music, and so for a long time they struggled to figure out what that exact sort of arrangement of the Four Seasons sound was going to be and who was going to be in the group, even because they were in and out of jail, frankly. That's why it took so long to form the Four Seasons, was because they were in jail half the time. Yeah. And so eventually, once everybody got out of jail and they figured out the right mix, and bringing Bob and Frankie in was, of course, absolutely key to that, that's when it all sort of hit.
Well, really, Tommy was a great opportunist. At least I felt. He had this real vitality to him and how he conducted himself, and he had a real thirst to get out of the neighborhood. And Frankie was this incredible talent, untrained, raw talent. And Nick and Tommy had such a lived-in, long-term relationship. They see this kid and they're like, "He's our ticket out of here."
I mean, the funny thing is that they're not like the Beatles. You know, no one really knew the members of the Four Seasons really until Jersey Boys came along, or unless you were some hardcore fan. But the truth is, people knew the songs, and that's why they lasted, because great songs will always outlast great artists, I believe. Songs will go on forever. And these songs, Oh What a Night and Sherry and Big Girls Don't Cry, I mean, I've gone to so many bar mitzvahs where Oh What a Night, you know, gets everyone on the dance floor.
I'm the one you want to talk to, Tommy DeVito. Wasn't for me, we all would have wound up with a bullet in our head.
Friends like that, you should change your name to Sinatra.
I'm gonna be as big as Sinatra.
I would love to introduce you to a new discovery of mine, Frankie Valli.
When I got a phone call that says, you know, you're starring Clint Eastwood's new movie, that's one of those things where you go, well, I guess I'm going back to acting school now, but, you know, then you have to trust the fact that you got the job because you're already good enough. And that's what he had to keep reminding me when I got on set, was that, you know, trust why you're here. You know, I don't need to do a lot with you. You got the job because, not because of what you look like, but because you did a good job with this. So I think he's so calm and so down to earth and so collaborative, and that's what was so surprising to me, because that's just not what, especially coming from the theater world, where especially in musical theater and on stage, because of all the technical elements of lights and set pieces flying in, everything is so micromanaged and directed down to a little thing. And with Clint, you had to have, you got this freedom to play around, and it was, I wasn't ready for that. I'm so used to playing by the book, and so it was like playing in a sandbox for us.
You don't want to displease him. And it feels like it might be to your peril to displease him. And yet, underneath the gruff exterior that he's got from all of these iconic roles he's played, is a very sensitive and kind man who is also an actor and understands the process. So he's always there for you, which makes it much easier to do your job and to feel confident in it.
Just always there, like he was so available. You know, we'd sit down in chairs like this on break, and there's an empty chair, and boom, he plops down, and we're just waiting for lights, and there was no question that seemed too intrusive. It was just like talk about how he started acting, or what he thinks about the scene, or the story ahead, and he was just wide open.
Frankie, the world is gonna hear that voice.
You want me to produce your songs?
Find a name and a sound, and then we can make something happen.
Listen, we got something for you, all right?
Sherry. Set up the 8-track. We're gonna double Frankie's voice. It's gonna explode right off the radio.
You can trust on camera that your character can just have a thought and it will register. So all the psychology of the character that I had to project and do things to make sure it was communicated to a live audience, I didn't have to do as much. I could just exist and trust that those things were visible.
It was definitely a different experience than being on stage, but I think it was great. I was really grateful for it, because I think it captured a different vibe than it would had we sung to pre-recorded tracks, or if we had mouthed, let alone mouthed to words, you know? So I think it was a really great way to bring a freshness to those performance scenes.
I think that everyone knows these songs and loves these songs, and what makes it such a compelling story, or one of the things that makes it such a compelling story, is that we know these songs at the back of our hand. We don't know anything about the artist, and the fact that it's such a fascinating story, I think that's what really makes Jersey Boys.
Loves you, pretty baby. Who's gonna help?
They asked her what was the high point. But 4 guys under a street lamp. First time we made that sound, our sound. That was the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Four Seasons!